Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another episode of The Walk Around. Grab your popcorn, get some drinks, and enjoy the show. Alrighty, what's up guys, and welcome back to episode 3 of season 3 of The Walk Around. And today we have arguably the ultimate commuter. I know I did mention that on the Big Boy 150, but this is very much so one of the best commuters out there. And guys, this is a 2015 Honda XR125 L. Now, as I said guys, arguably one of the most common commuters out there. Not very much so in the delivery side of things, but definitely, your day-to-day, guys going to work, also commuting like to the Gautrain and stuff like that. Probably the most popular commuter I've seen out there, other than the likes of the scooters and the 150s. But as I said, 150s definitely more popular with the delivery bikes. And this is where it's at with the general population in terms of commuting. I mean, I almost bought one of these as well right before I bought my Husky. Probably should have bought one of these, but Husky 450, 125, yeah. So, but yeah, nonetheless, guys, this thing is actually pretty snazzy, and it is pretty set up for your commuting purposes. So as we always do, we'll have a look at any sort of modifications or things that I want to bring light to, and then we'll finish things off having a look at any sort of damage, and then after that we'll get a nice little startup going for you guys. Prepare yourselves for that, prepare your eardrums. But first things first guys, we're just going to jump right straight into it. We've got a nice beautiful shared top box up there. I mean, it's a no-brainer. If I could, I would put a top box on my Husqvarna, and Bob's your uncle. It's so efficient. And sometimes you can fit helmets in these. This one is a little bit smaller. I don't think you'll be able to fit one in there, but you can get enough in there, whether it's your groceries or maybe some stuff that you normally take with you to work. Let's say you go to gym after work, you can put your gym clothes in there. So super nice. Also, another common thing that I see is for the guys who use the Gautrain, they actually store their jacket in here and gloves and all that stuff, and then they actually just take their helmet with them. So super nice. Obviously do have the full mounting rail here, so you can swap that out, get a different top box on there, but I mean that thing is doing just fine for the time being. Guys, I think that's probably it in terms of modifications, Not seeing anything else. It's not a very common bike to modify. I must say the most common thing you're going to see is the likes of a top box, maybe a little phone holder. But not in this case. In this case, guys, it's quite literally just this snazzy little top box. Is this a Shad? I think it is Shad. Very, very good stuff. I personally had a Shad tank bag. Still use it. Works absolutely brilliantly. So really, really good stuff there. Things that I can bring light to. Guys, it's just it's a simple bike, and that's what makes it such a good commuter. There's very little room for error. There's not much going on, and it's actually good. The more going on, the more possibility that you have for things to go wrong. I'm a little bit stumped. We do have drum disc brakes at the back. Sorry, drum brakes, not drum disc brakes, but drum brakes at the back, and at the front you can obviously see that we've got the single caliper. You don't need two calipers for this big boy. That's not a big boy, but you get the point. Guys, I'm actually a little bit stumped here. Okay? This is one of the first bikes when it comes to modifications or things that I want to bring light to. I'm actually finding myself a little bit stumped. Obviously, you got your headlights, you got your indicators, you got your mirrors, you got your rear brake lights, whole 9 yards. Very much so roadworthy. Sometimes they do come with kickstarts as well. I think this is, perfect. See, now for people like me, I've got PTSD from owning a Triumph, which occasionally just doesn't start for no reason. So this, let's say you go to the shops and now your battery is pop. Now what do you do if you don't have a kickstart? Now you have to start your bike. No, you don't do that around here. Kickstart your bike. Bob's your uncle. You essentially, you cannot be stranded on this unless you run out of fuel. So you don't run out of fuel, and Bob's your uncle. You're sorted. You're absolutely sorted. I really am stumped. And as I said, the less the better, honestly. If you watched any of our previous episodes, you know that personally, I prefer things to be stock. The more stock it is, the better. There's a few modifications that I like, a little exhaust over here, maybe some grips. But, the more stock you leave a bike, the better it is, the more reliable it's going to be. As soon as you start getting into aftermarket parts, you're asking for problems. trust me, I know. I've wasted a lot of money on aftermarket parts. So yeah, guys, really, there's nothing else that I can actually, see that's worth mentioning at least. I mean, I even mentioned that it has headlights and indicators. It's pretty much a given. So yeah, guys, nonetheless, let's just jump into any sort of damage. I do see a few scuffs here and there, but yeah, nonetheless, let's have a good look. I did see on this back left side just a little bit of damage there on that swing arm. Not really sure what caused that. It could have been chain maintenance, maybe, but I'm not seeing any other sort of damage like this rear foot peg, for example. It's one of the first things that's going to get damaged if you drop your bike. So the fact that I'm not seeing anything on there or on this whole left side of the bike, but that's damaged, yeah, very, very curious as to how that came about happening. But yeah, nonetheless, there's a little bit of damage there. And then over here, I think this is purely just wear and tear, guys. Just from your foot constantly rubbing against that. That's very common, and very common to see on the dirt bikes as well. So yeah, it is worth mentioning this is a dual purpose. So if you want to go and do a little bit of off-roading, get a little bit adventurous, you can. Yeah, foot peg is everything. Everything here is in good condition. There's no scuffing on here. So I really don't think this thing has been like dropped / crashed. This thing is all good on here. Okay, I see a little bit of scuffing there, so I think it might have been dropped on this left side. Indicators are still good. This grip is still good. Did see on this side, it's definitely been dropped on this side, just purely based off of that damage there, and also this damage on the front brake. Otherwise, again, foot brake, foot peg, all of that is okay. Again, one of the telltale signs is looking for abrasion over here on that rear peg. I can see a little bit there, so I do think it was maybe dropped on this side. But yeah, guys, no damage to the exhaust. A little bit of scratches on the fairing here. A little bit of rust here and there. Honestly, it's really unavoidable nowadays. Obviously, you can see here again, just that constant abrasion on that casing that's caused that there. Otherwise, I'm really not seeing anything major. This top box is a little bit weathered, as you guys can see. It's just a little bit sun faded, but nonetheless, it's not taking away from the functionality of it. Yeah, and I did see here, this is how you reset your trip. I see it has been broken off, but it is working, as you guys can see there. So I can just reset my trip. Okay, it's going to take a little while, but go back to 0, and then you can reset your trip like that. And then there's your kilometers, 52,000 Ks on the clock. Honestly, all things considered, pretty damn good condition, taking the mileage into consideration. And then you'll see over here just a few scratches. I think probably somebody had their phone there. It's very popular to see that, especially, I think it was maybe used for a little bit of deliveries, because that's one of the most common places that they like to put their phones. Otherwise, guys, we are looking pretty snazzy. Just a little bit of sun damage on the modules here. A little bit of damage on that front fairing as well that I saw. It's mainly just abrasive stuff, as you guys can see, just a little bit of cracking. Again, sun damage. That's what it boils down to at the end of the day. Yeah, let's have a look at the chain and sprockets. Okay, that rear sprocket is probably going to have to be replaced pretty soon. I can see that the tips of the teeth there are just a little bit damaged, but nonetheless, it's going to serve its purpose. But yeah, I'm just going to have a chat with the mechanics about that, get them to have a look at that, make sure it's not going to cause any safety risk or anything like that. So I'll have a chat to the mechanics about that. Please don't stress. And then the only other thing that I would say, guys, is that you might need some new tires in the near future. This rear tire isn't as bad, but definitely this front tire, as you guys can see, actually it's not as bad as I thought it was. But yeah, just keep an eye on these tires. If you do end up picking this beauty up, you're probably going to have to replace those sooner rather than later. And there we go. See, yeah, I'm very curious. I think all of this damage on one side, it probably happened in one instance. So yeah, that's a pity. But again, it's not going to affect the performance of anything. So yeah, guys, let's get a little startup going. Again, prepare your eardrums, ladies and gentlemen. I should probably get the keys. Sure, we got a lot of keys here, boys. Got 4 keys. I'm not sure. There's your top box key. That's your main key, and then Oxford. It's a company that makes parts for bikes. I just don't know what it would be. And I think this is probably somebody's house key. But yeah, nonetheless, let's give it a nice little start up here, guys. You will see that on the dash, it's got your neutral. You guys, I don't know if you'll be able to see, but your brights as well as your indicators. And yeah, very loud, as I said, guys. I mean, that's not even with the choke on, and it started right up. It's ice cold. It's freezing where we are now. So yeah, nope, nice and cold. Guys, honestly, I'm not going to let it warm up and give it a rev, you know. It's not one of those bikes that, well, I suppose also in terms of just giving that engine a good listen, I will for that purpose. But yeah, not a crazy sounding bike, you know. If you were to go and do like a little straight pipe on it, put a little shorty on there, you know, then we talking another language there. But yeah, let it warm up, guys, and then I'll give you a few revs, and that'll wrap things up. Alrighty. Oh, a little bit cold still. Not hearing any sort of, there's noises that come from the engines that you don't like to hear. That nothing like that. So, yeah, pretty snazzy, guys. Pretty snazzy. Oh, as I said, guys, ultimate commuter. It's carbureted. In terms of servicing, you're gonna pay next to nothing for this. So yeah, guys, honestly, the perfect commuter in my opinion. If I was to go and get a commuter right now, it'd either be this or one of the BWS 100s, which you've got 3 of, and you've even got a wheelie bike. So if you go and check the previous season, you'll see that that black BWS is an absolute menace. So yeah, that white martini, that's definitely gonna come up in this season. But yeah. Nonetheless, guys, that just about wraps things up. If you have any sort of questions, just drop them down there in the comments and I'll get back to you as soon as possible. Otherwise, guys, that's it from me today. I hope you all enjoyed, and I'll catch you guys all in the next one. Peace.